You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis. And today we are hopping in our time machine and we are going back into the archives as we revisit WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game, and WWF in your house. Now, how are these games going to hold up? Are we going to stick with our original ratings? Is there going to be a little flip-flopping of our Play It Forever or Future Endeavor
You're fired!
rankings? And we are also going to be discussing our worst video game moments.
And please subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are listening. Follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. And don't forget, you can catch this episode early and ad-free at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. George, what's up? We are going way back here today.
Oh, yeah. This is hopping in the time machine all the way back to episode 2 of the
Episode
podcast.
2. We had this crazy idea, episode 2, that we'll just come out with a twofer. I don't even think I had a real microphone yet, or this was the first one I had a microphone for, not using my little pocket mic.
So what you had you had a different Samson.
It was a
at that
Samsung,
time.
but like it was
The mini.
this big. It was for
We
probably
didn't have video version yet. I don't even think that we
No Patreon,
were
nothing.
We were in Discord. Like I think we were just
Oh,
in
no,
Discord.
yeah.
We didn't have video.
No, there's no way. I think we started video later just so we could like get a real feel for each
Yeah,
other.
and it's like that way when we're making faces or reacting to each other's like jokes and stuff, you can literally see because there's
Yeah.
it's definitely not so John could just be like, I don't like what you're saying now. I'm going to shake my head at you.
Well, there's still some of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about last week's episode, Brasstown Wrestling, a nice little RPG wrestling game. We had a few people say that they were willing to try it because they didn't know it existed, and it intrigued them. So what say you? I went through the playthrough. What do you think now, a week later? Did you go back? Did you play it?
I did. I went back, I played it, and I got to say, honestly, my biggest takeaway from last week's episode was not the episode itself, was actually the response to the episode of how many people, like you said, that were just like, I didn't know that this existed. I didn't even know that wrestling and RPG was like a real category. I'm a fan of both, and I can't wait to play it. And I feel like,
Yeah, that's what we discussed.
if we opened up the door for like 5 or 6 people to, find this game and WrestleQuest and all the other wrestling RPGs that are out there, I feel like that's really the main point of this podcast is just kind of bring awareness to games. So shout out to everyone who went out and gave Brasstown Wrestling a try, and hopefully everyone's excited for what the future of wrestling and RPG games holds.
Yeah, still not really my thing, but hey, it was still nice. It was fun to play for a little bit. Not something I'm gonna really dive into very much, but I'm ready for a nice twofer. I pulled out my old games here. These are the original ones I had as a child. I remember Grandma bought me both these. I was like, Grandma, you don't even know what this is. This is awesome. This is the best gift ever. Look at this. Look at the inside. We're gonna get into this later. Alien Trilogy for PlayStation.
Wow.
We could go through this whole book if we want. It's so cool. And then I got, look, it even has my name on the back, probably because I definitely broke this disc and like took it from another one that had my name on it from like a burned CD or something. And of course, In Your House, also another cool one, thanks to Grandma, with Space Jam on the inside. A game I loved so much for the PC, but it was so damn hard to beat the Monstars.
So you had both of them on PlayStation. I had WrestleMania. I had WrestleMania Arcade on PlayStation. I had In Your House on PC.
Oh, yeah.
which is a very different experience.
I would assume so. But are you ready to get into it? We're going to break down both of them right now.
Let's do it. Let's hop on in. And what are we doing? The can opener, cannonball? What are you doing off the diving board for the deep dive this week?
Little pencil dive. So I'm getting there quick.
Hey, George. You see this light here that says game over that I point to at the end of every single episode, like Ronda Rousey pointing to that WrestleMania sign?
I do.
Do you know where I got it?
Why don't you tell me?
I got it from Zavvi. That's us.zavvi.com, Zavvi, and they literally have everything. I have spent hours on this website looking up Mandalorian, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, like everything you could imagine. There's Legos, Power Rangers. You could pre-order the new Marvel Legends. It's an insane website that has literally everything pop culture. There's even Batman shoes on here.
I mean, I know for me, a little like adult Zen garden project that I like to do is like the smaller Lego sets, and Zavvi has a lot of those Lego sets on there and getting kind of itchy. So if you like all things pop culture, like John said, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Nintendo, they're even getting into the wrestling game now.
Oh, yeah.
Zavvi is the place for you.
That's right. Use code GameMarks, simply just GameMarks, at checkout, and you can get 10% off.
I'm gonna redo my wardrobe.
All right, so the deep dive, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Zavvi. Head on over there and use code GameMarks to save yourself some money in your checkout.
Money.
WrestleMania, the arcade game, comes out in the arcade cabinet in 1995 and is released on consoles November of 1995 for the 32X, November of 1995 for the Sega Mega Drive and the Genesis, PC 1995, PlayStation in October of 95, the Saturn in May of 96, and the NES, the Super NES in November of 95. And on the flip side, you've got In Your House, released on PlayStation October 31st of 96, on the Sega Saturn, November 30th of 96, and the version that I had, DOS, December 31st, 1996.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I had the Space Jam on DOS, and it was such a crazy experience. Like, I was using mouse and keyboard back then, and then like it was no problem. Now I'm like, what do I do?
Well, so that's the thing. Like, a lot of the DOS games were DOS prompts, so you had to like have like a little bit of like programming knowledge if you're going to be getting into DOS. I remember like my uncle had to sit down with me and show me how to do it, and then like wrote down the process so I could like. You know, I'm talking about like when you used to play like Pitfall on the floppy disk, and we're just like, this is how you're going to start the game. Follow these instructions.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk
Crazy
about this
times.
a lot. The main differences between these two games, and just right out of the gate, both games developed by Sculptured Software. But the main difference here, WrestleMania, the arcade game, developed by Sculptured Software and Midway, published by Midway and Acclaim, and then In Your House is just Sculptured Software and Acclaim.
And the difference is definitely there because it loses that Midway feel to it.
Yeah.
Like, it looks kind of like the same game, but it's not. It's really not.
And all of the hype behind In Your House was because of what a success WrestleMania, the arcade game, was.
Well, that's the thing, though. There was no actual hype for the game before it came out. But during, like, while it came out, everyone was like, oh, cool, like a new WrestleMania, the arcade game. But that's not exactly what you got. But let's break it down quick to compare it to what's out at the time. Because in 95, you're getting All Japan Pro Wrestling 2, whatever, Budokan. I usually let you say these, but I'll say it this time. Budokan, whatever. Super Fire Pro Wrestling Queen Special, Wrestling Universe Fire Pro Women Dome, Super Female Big Battle, All Japan Woman vs. JWP, All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling Queen of Queens, not the Kevin James show, New Japan Pro Wrestling 95, Battle 7 in Tokyo Dome, I like that game, New Japan Pro Wrestling Tokan Retsuden, and Super Fire Pro Wrestling X, So a lot of wrestling competition in sort of the same realm
Yeah.
in 95 for WrestleMania, the arcade game. But when you get to In Your House, you have New Japan Pro Wrestling Tokan Retsuden 2, Fire Pro Wrestling Iron Slam 96, Super Fire Pro Wrestling X Premium, Fire Pro Wrestling X 6-Man Scramble, and not on this list, but mentioned down in the ratings is Power Move Pro Wrestling.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So this is a game that came out that was fully 3D. It's on an engine we know. And yeah, it's going to go head to head. It's like towards the end-ish of like 95. So like WrestleMania arcade game's already out, but now this is coming in like 3 months. And now you have to pick one or the other.
So let's break down the I guess the main gameplay style of this. So obviously you hear Midway, the first thing that you're going to think of is Mortal Kombat, fighting games, things of that nature. Obviously a lot of big titles tied to Midway from this time. They are a huge name in all things video games at this point. And this is exactly how both of these games play. The main difference is, I guess, from a core mechanic gameplay, it is the fact that you go from a two-person fighting to a four-person fighting, in the difference of In Your House having 4 players. But main concept is you've got a health bar. The goal is to deplete your opponent's health bar, and you do that by throwing kicks, punches, running moves. There's unique grappling moves for all the wrestlers. Some very over-exaggerated and cartoony effects will happen. I believe Bam Bam Bigelow is on fire the entire match.
Yeah.
And then when you do the diving headbutt off of the top rope, you literally set the person on fire. That's all in WrestleMania, the arcade game. And In Your House, though, and this was something that you brought up, it's a little bit more of a wrestling game.
So they took the core of WrestleMania, the arcade game, the arcadey feel, the whimsical looking characters that look like every other game at the time. Like, it looks like a Sega game, because it is. And they stripped it of everything fun. Like, now you have suplexes and drop kicks, where before you had Doink spraying you with a flower, and Razor Ramon literally taking out a sword and razoring you, and
Lex
Shawn
Luger's
Michaels with a
hands
bat.
turns into like giant steel.
Right. Like, it has some of that, but it loses the effect mostly, and they kind of swap it for like scenery instead, and we're going to get to that when we read the rosters later. But it just didn't feel right. You have more wrestlers, you have more options as far as, like you said, playing 4 players rather than just 1-on-1 or 2 players. But I don't know, it's missing that something. It's the same thing in quicker games. It just wasn't there. And what they did add was those stupid little WWF icons that come and bounce on the screen. If you get the red one, that means bad. Don't get that one. If you get the gray one or silver one, whatever it was, that gives you more combo or power up. And it's very hard to figure it out.
Yeah, the silver increases your combo meter, and the red depletes it. And if you don't have a combo meter and you hit a red one, you are stunned and groggy. Is how that works.
Let's check what these combo meters gave. I'm going to open this book here.
All right, and while you do that, I'm going to talk about another difference that was in Your House, is that each wrestler gets their own like personalized stage for each one. What's that?
It shows you how to turn the PlayStation on.
Oh, it's very important.
In case you didn't know.
In case maybe that's the game that you bought with your first PlayStation. You need to know how. But each wrestler has their own personalized stage in Your House. Some of them very cool. Some of them are just there. They're not really good. They're not really bad. There's Stu Hart's Dungeon is one of them. There's a lot. There's a good amount of unique locations, which makes it a little bit more fresh, and I think is actually a check in the column for In Your House, because you're not fighting in that same WrestleMania ring for every match. But then again, it's WrestleMania, the arcade game. The whole point is that all the matches are at WrestleMania. So this was just another thing that In Your House did to try to make itself different, kind of expand on the existing concept, and just kind of, I don't know, add more features. I don't know if you call Arena like different arenas a feature, but
Yeah. Okay. So I have the description of the icons here. The combos you have to figure out on your own, they say. So the silver one, it says, never know what'll happen when you pick this up, but it's going to be good. It might increase your speed, turn on your combo meter, disorient your opponent, or increase your health. And then the red one says, this is bad news, boyo. Stumble over it and you risk losing health, speed, orientation, or combo power. Note, these are the default power-up settings. They can be changed under options.
oh,
We did not change them. Oh, I got a little survey here about the game. That I
I
can
thought you were
mail.
going to say like
I
I
can
found
mail
an
it
old
in.
sticker book or something.
It's like a warranty. I could imagine I found stickers. That would be cool.
That's what I thought. Your reaction did
kick,
not make it
super
sound like
kick.
it was a warranty card.
It's so cool to see. Bulldog. Yeah, no, it doesn't say what the combos are. You kind of got to
Okay.
figure them out. I'm sure we could Google it and find out, but listen, everyone else has to figure it out just like we do. Now, let's talk about the game modes within here, because sure, we can go head to head in both as a one-on-one,
Yep.
or we could do a little co-op where we are playing together, or I think only In Your House has this buddy system where it would be me and a computer versus you and a computer,
Yeah.
which is also fun because sometimes I don't want to team with you. I just want to whoop your ass. But the game modes here are generally the same, but slight tweaks. So the Intercontinental Championship within WrestleMania, the arcade game, you have to win 4 one-on-one matches, 2 handicap matches, and 1 handicap 3-on-1 match to win the title.
Let me tell you
Super
something.
hard.
WrestleMania the
Super
arcade
hard.
game is in my opinion one of the harder games to play.
Yeah.
It is great and it's very enjoyable, but man, it is unforgiving.
Very unforgiving, because then you have to like start at the beginning if you lose. And I think one of the coolest parts of this game is when you start these championship modes and you see the guy run down the aisle, and
Love
then
that.
you stop at your opponent. They do a little taunt, and then you go for it. I always picture Sean doing the like, "Come on!"
Always got really scared every time you ran down and you saw more than one person. I was like,
or
here we
3,
go.
or you in different color gear.
Oh, yes, the alternative color swap, yes.
Yeah. But then you have the WWF Championship, which is even harder. You have to win 4 handicap matches, 2-on-1, 2 3-on-1s, and finally a WrestleMania challenge where the player must defeat every wrestler in a gauntlet, starting with a 3-on-1 setup. And every time someone's eliminated, another comes in.
It's so hard.
Now, I get it because it's an arcade game, and that's as arcade as it gets. But now In Your House has the Intercontinental and the WWF Championship, but on top of that has a season mode where you just play through all the wrestlers. And I guess that that wouldn't be as much fun in WrestleMania arcade game because there's only 8, whereas In Your House has 10, so it gives a little bit longer.
Yeah, a couple more. Well, that's where like the handicap matches come in for WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly.
Roster's not big, but now you're fighting all these crazy combos of people.
Yeah, right. Like we said, including yourself. So let's talk about these rosters here.
Ooh, this is good. Do you want to take one and I'll take the other?
Yeah. Which one you want? Which one do you like better?
You like arcade better, so
All
you can go arcade.
So you got. I'll try to say it in the Vince voice as best as possible. Bam Bam Bigelow, Bret Hart, Doink, Lex Luger, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Yokozuna. How was that?
That's actually pretty good.
It's like reading the menu, right?
That's pretty good.
So in the Super Nintendo release, it actually doesn't have Bam Bam or Yokozuna to save space. This game had a lot of issues when it got ported to consoles with speed and slowdowns. When there were more than one person in the ring, the games tended to slow down. I believe the Sega Saturn version is the one they said was the most flawless.
Oh.
Which is interesting.
Huh.
It's interesting, but it's also the last one to come out, so I would hope so. A few Easter eggs here to other Midway games. The Undertaker has a fatality where a coffin comes down, does a little rest in peace and all that, but also the little Toasty, that guy comes
Mortal
out.
Kombat Toasty guy.
But he's eating chips and he's just got like a scrambled face, and it's not exactly him, but he's there.
That's awesome.
Now, I don't know if I shared this in the first episode we did this game, but I used to be friends with this guy back in like high school, We called him Pun. His name was not Pun, but he was like just a big dude. He looked like Big Pun. So he was Pun.
Okay.
He was a big gamer. He argued me to death that it said whoopsie, not toasty. And I was like, no, it is toasty. He's like, it's whoopsie. It's toasty. And he's saying, no, I'm a game. He like wouldn't even consider it. I don't know. I'm a big gamer. No, it's whoopsie. And me and everybody else is like, we're Googling. No, it's toasty. He just refused to believe it. And I bet there's people right now listening to this that are like, no, it's whoopsie.
I gotta tell you, I think in one of the Mortal Kombat games, there's multiple voice lines.
Right.
I think original. I think original is toasty, but I think there's one that does say whoopsie, and there's like a third or fourth voice line too. But the original and the most like iconic is the toasty one.
Yeah, and it's the sound guy from the game saying
Yeah.
toasty. It's a stupid thing, but it's in there, and I think it's in like most of the games, right?
I want to say it's still in.
Yeah.
It
gotta be.
and if it doesn't pop up in the Mortal Kombat games, still it pops up in other games. This Easter egg lives on in multiple games. As you
That
can
day
tell.
comes when we make our game, it'll be in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It'll be Swoggle popping up saying
I
something.
was gonna say Smart Mark, but
Swoggle popping up ranting about toast for 10 minutes.
oh no, yeah, that's it. That's the way to go.
The Game Marks podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, providing precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer.
It's the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. The Performance Package 4.0 comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, body hair trimmer, the Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, below the belt toner and deodorant, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies.
It's definitely holding all my goodies, if you know what I mean. Over 7 million men worldwide trust Manscaped with their grooming needs, and we've got an exclusive offer for all of the Game Marks out there. You can get 20% off your order and free worldwide shipping just by using the code GameMarks at manscaped.com.
Unlock your confidence and always use the right tool for the job with Manscaped. Manscaped.com and use code GameMarks.
But all right, take the In Your House roster, but I also want you to tell everybody what their arenas are.
Yeah, so you got Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels Arena is a nightclub. Then you have Bret Hart, and this may be the best one in here. It's Stu Hart's Dungeon, which is
Pretty
just
cool.
It's awesome. You've got The Undertaker, who has the Crypt. You've got Owen, who at the time is the King of Hearts and is the 2-time Slammy Award winner. So you've got the Palace with his cards.
See, this is my favorite.
And the Slammers, yeah, this is number 2 for me. Warrior, Ultimate Warrior. You've got a bunch of Native Americans and warriors in the desert. And you have Triple H, who is in a mansion with butlers and a fireplace, and it's just like a nice little luxurious estate.
Greenwich
Yeah,
estate.
a Greenwich estate. There you go. You got Ahmed Johnson, who has the gym. Goldust has a movie theater. Vader has a farm, which could have done something for Vader.
Yeah,
It could have been like Jurassic Park, like dinosaur theme, because he's the mastodon.
okay.
Power
Ranger theme.
Yeah, oh yeah, Power Rangers theme. That'd be awesome. And then British Bulldog. You've got outside British Arena with a bunch of bulldogs, and you got the collar logo. And I think I want to say that we in the original episode we had talked about all of the people in the background of the arenas are actually like the developers of the game.
Yeah, I believe some of them are, but let's talk about the differences there, because WrestleMania the arcade game, you have one arena and it's the typical WWF arena. You can see it here. I'm looking at it right now. It's got the little American flag things hanging on the barricades and whatnot. It looks like a real WWF arena at the time, like a new gen house show, whatever you want to call it, Saturday night's main event, whatever. But now you go to like In Your House, the crowd doesn't look as great. And I'm a stickler for the crowds. You got the big In Your House logo.
One thing.
Yeah, you got the big logo on the mat, which I absolutely hate because I feel like even in real wrestling, that takes away from the match. WCW did it a lot. AEW does it. WWE doesn't do it. And I feel like that helps production so much because your eyes are on the ring. Your eyes are on the wrestlers. And it's the same in a game. Like, there's just too much going on here. They never, like, mute the colors or dip them into the canvas a little bit. They're always bright and in your face. SmackDown
It just looks
does
like a
this
giant
too.
sticker.
Yeah,
It looks less like it's like something that's printed on the canvas and more like they're just like, we had a 12-foot vinyl decal printed and we just slapped it on there.
It's just not, I don't like it at all. And it's just like a corny version of the WrestleMania, the arcade game arena to me.
I agree with you. What you said, picture perfect, no notes. No notes.
Now, one thing I wish we did, and we didn't do this time, we should have went through all the wrestlers. We went through maybe half of them, but I used to love, this was my first introduction to Doink as a kid. And
really?
Yeah, because I mean, I was WCW.
I forget that you're WCW through and through.
And you're also a little bit older than me. So like Doink's, but like Doink's era, like I wasn't watching.
That's true.
The first WWF show I watched, I remember seeing DX. So that's, you could put my timeline there.
So see, like all of my, I'm with you there. Like my first, like when I sat down to watch wrestling by myself, it's Austin Bret Hart. Like that's the storyline that's happening. And like Bret Hart's in the wheelchair and like it's that angle.
No, see, I wish I lived through that instead of the crap I lived through in WCW.
But before that, it would just like randomly pop up because I had other family members, like, my grandfather, my, cousins, uncles that would just like, if you went over there for like random family event, someone's birthday and wrestling happened to be on, it was just always kind of on in the background. And, sometimes you sat down, sometimes you didn't, sometimes you like walked by and glanced and like, you walk by the TV and Doink's on the screen, you're going to stop for a couple seconds as a kid and be like, what the hell is going on with this?
I didn't even know he was a real wrestler.
No, I had no idea. I wasn't like
playing this game. I'm like, oh, there's a clown. And then you go to the back and you're like, oh, wait, but it's a real clown?
Yeah.
And I got this game maybe in like 98. I wouldn't say I got it when it came out at all. So I'm looking at Lex Luger. I'm looking at Razor Ramon like, oh, cool. The WCW guys are in here. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then in your house, obviously, I'm a little smartened up when I get that the next year. I'm like, oh, this was Triple H. Like, a little bit more.
Yeah. I want to say that so this comes out in December of 96. I probably get this a year or two later on DOS, and I'm going to say a year or two later because I'm pretty sure that the only reason that we ever got DOS games was when they were in like the bargain bin.
Oh, 100%. My grandma definitely bought these at Odd Job, the weird like thrifty store that's around here.
Either that or it was like the $2.99 KB bin. Like
yeah. Oh, see, we went through the In Your House book. I didn't go through the arcade book, but it's very similar. Just like we said before, the Alien trilogy on the back is what gets me. Acclaim really liked making those crazy games. Now, in the BIOS, it says the maneuvers you could do, but it also has like little quotes here from like Finkel says the weight and the pound, blah, blah, blah. That's right, McMahon. Pound for pound, Shawn Michaels is the best in the WWF. Besides me, of course. Now I know this truly is one of your favorite WWF competitors, King Lawler. That's not really what they said in the game, but it's here. I like games with small rosters like this because you get stuff like this within it.
Yeah.
You get more personal commentary. You get these little bios.
I just miss like the detailed, fun books that used to come with games.
Yeah.
Now it's just like the one sleeve, like the one double-sided insert in the like the PS4, PS5 case.
Yeah. Now I just download games.
or you do that.
But okay, let's talk about the artwork here because I have it right in front of me. We could break it down. It shows WrestleMania, the arcade game. I don't know if I've ever even seen this in an arcade.
I don't think I think that when we originally did this, we looked up like what the actual cabinet looked like.
I'm trying to think because there was a wrestling game when I went away with my family like every year, but I don't remember if it was this one or not. Because eventually they had Royal Rumble.
Because WrestleMania, the arcade game, is the poster. The advertisement is Brett wrestling the arcade cabinet, right?
Yes, and I have the other one up on my wall right now that has pretty much the guys from the cover on it, and then it just says "No pain, no game. Take wrestling to the extreme," and it has the consoles on it with the Acclaim logo. But yeah, this tells you all you need to know. Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Actually, Undertaker's on the side of the cabinet. I thought he was actually on the cover. Razor and Brett with the arcade cabinet in the background with a cool arcade game. I mean, tells you what you need to know. And on the back just has a whole bunch of characters, and it calls out their finishing moves.
And it's relatively the same across all platforms. John's got
digitized graphics.
When we make our game, that's something that we're going to call out.
We gotta do these little Easter eggs.
Just digitized graphics. That could be an announcement that someone does.
In your house, a logo still used today by NXT. It's still in the games on NXT. I only learned recently that the top of the eye makes a chimney.
The top of the eye makes a chimney. Oh, snap.
George just learned it as well.
Yep.
It says, "There goes the neighborhood." And it's got Brett, Vader, and Shawn, and their little motion around them. Looks like they're flying through the air onto this random house that has a dog that actually looks like Willow. And actually, when we did this the first time, she didn't exist yet. So we could recreate this.
She wasn't even born then.
No. We could recreate this cover, George. We have to fly through the air on top of our houses.
I was going to say, we should just...
Whose house is this?
I don't know, but we should just, when we remake this cover as a poster or like the next 8x10, it should be your dog, and then my two dogs can be can be the flying through the air, and you and I are standing in front of the house.
That would be great. Okay, the back, the ultimate out-of-ring action, which, it wasn't that ultimate. All new finishing moves like Shawn's Heartbreak Hotel, which was literally just a big heart-shaped bed pops up.
Yep.
The British Bulldog takes a bite out of the Undertaker. His head's a bulldog biting the Undertaker. The more the merrier with multiplayer, and Vader unmasked. Yeah, because he throws his mask at people. Takes it back.
That's the thing. Like the main difference here, just even with those descriptions going through both back covers, WrestleMania the arcade game feels like Mortal Kombat meets wrestling. In Your House feels like they went, okay, well, the last one felt like wrestling meets Mortal Kombat. Let's lean more into the Mortal Kombat part of it.
Yeah.
And have like things pop up and people turn into stuff where it's like, yes, there are exaggerated features in both, but one feels a little bit more cartoonish than the other.
I think what it boils down to also is that WrestleMania, the arcade game, the games are like a little bit longer to where they're playable, where In Your House, like 4 or 5 moves, you're done.
It's so fast. And you know why? It's because of those damn power-ups.
Those damn power-ups.
They could sway the course of the match so quickly because...
But even the health bar is like longer in WrestleMania, the arcade
game. Oh,
game.
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, for what I noticed in, you and I have gone back and forth and played both of these games multiple times over the course, for better, for worse, over the course of the last almost 4 years we've been doing the podcast. And the thing that that's always annoyed me about In Your House is that if you hit a major move, like I hit a power bomb on you or something, while I'm getting up, a red bar or a red power up spawns under me, I pick it up, even though it wasn't there when I did the move and it just happened to spawn underneath me. It doesn't give you like a frame to like get away from it. It spawned on you, you picked it up.
Screwed me multiple times.
Oh yeah. Takes the wind right out of your sails. But I want to talk about something which is like the first thing that you see besides the title screen when you load into these games. Let's compare the title or the character select screens.
So I feel like they kept them relatively similar to like Raw and Royal Rumble and all those games.
Yeah.
They're all, and even to each other, they're pretty similar. There's just like a few minor differences. I think the In Your House one is a little more friendly and detailed, where the WrestleMania arcade one looks like you're at an arcade console.
I don't know why, but everyone's picture in Your House kind of looks like a yearbook photo.
Yeah, they're a little washed out also, but that's
like, does everyone on their yearbook backgrounds like
yeah. That's like their 8x10 photos from
I know, with that like
what a difference in the Undertaker
background.
From a year, right?
Oh yeah.
And the fact that you have like Yokozuna and Bam Bam Bigelow in one game and then Triple H and Goldust in the next.
And
the way that
put people's logos on in your house is really funny. Like John pointed out in our playthrough that Hunter Hearst Helmsley, when you go to select him, is just Hunter HH.
Yeah. Well, Arcade Game does that too, but the load screen just shows like made up logos of the guys that they never really used. But either way, very, very similar. Both of these games in menus and all that. Like really just the background is the big differences. And they're not anything crazy. I like the opening to In Your House a little bit better. It's got Sean like kicking the In Your House logo, and they kick it back and forth, and it loads up. At WrestleMania Arcade Game is more of just like an opening cinematic wrestling highlight video with Thorn in Your Eye playing behind it.
And then it drops you into the demo match of
right. Oh, remember
welcome
those
everyone
days?
Tonight. Oh yeah,
I hated that so much because it took forever to load out of them.
Oh yeah,
but let's talk about the audio here. We mentioned before commentary by Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler on the arcade game. And they also appear sitting at the table. You also have Howard Finkel, who welcomes you to the game. And he also calls out the wrestlers and whatnot for their entrances. Now, the music in the game, when you win a game, you get a snippet of like the wrestler's music. It kind of loops in the background until you pick your next player. So if Yokozuna wins, you hear the doo-doo-doo until you pick the player. Shawn Michaels' music is actually the Sexy Boy version from the Sherry Martel era. So it's a little bit older. And The Undertaker's is actually his 91 to 94 music. So they were not able to update that one in the game either. And it also features, like we said, Thorn in Your Eye, the Superstars theme, and the WrestleMania Challenge theme, which is also in... is that in No Mercy? No. It's in another game because Linda McMahon used it as her... Yeah, during like the 2000s, that was Linda McMahon's theme song.
Yeah, I feel like it's. I want to say they used it for like Eugene or something.
Eugene? No, Eugene's is like. Din, 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 din.
No, I know, but I want to say that there was like a game where maybe it wasn't Eugene, maybe it's like Jonathan Coachman's theme in like one of the games or something. Like they used it for
Thorn in Your Eye was Undertaker's in SmackDown 2.
Yeah, oh yeah. Because
they couldn't get American Badass. And now commentary in Your House is Vince McMahon and Mr. Perfect. I would have loved to have him as a playable character instead of just a commentary.
Now, we're talking about things that we missed before. I really miss the days of like you hover on a character for a little bit and the theme plays in the back. Could you imagine if like 2K did that? Where like you're in the menu screen and like you sit there for like, 10 seconds or whatever and the theme fades out. Like whatever background music from the soundtrack fades out and all of a sudden Cody's theme plays.
I feel like we got that somewhat recently in a game. Maybe like 19 or something. Where maybe earlier. Where
I know that you can turn off the like soundtrack and turn on just the wrestling themes.
Yeah, I don't know if you could do that anymore, can you? I would love to do that. I'm already sick of the 2K.
Yeah, I think you can. You can still do it.
I'm doing that later.
Options for the soundtrack. Oh yeah, I haven't checked in 23 yet because I just.
Oh my god, it's the same songs over and over.
I
it's
know.
Like 5.
I've just been jumping into matches, so I'm not on the menu long enough to really.
Oh, I am like deep into My Rise right now. It is so much fun.
Oh god, I needed an idea for my creator wrestler because I was just like I'm gonna.
The Burning Hammer, George Feis.
I was like, I'm not going to make me. I'm not going to do because you said that you were already making GMP Man. So I'm like, I'm not going to make GMP Man.
I got to get back on that.
So I just like asked my wife. I was like, hey, what should my wrestling character be? And she just like threw out like 6 ideas, and some of them were actually pretty good. So keep an eye out on social media. I may post it once it's done. I'm definitely going to post it in the Discord because it's just the ideas from someone who who watches wrestling but doesn't go out of their way to watch it just to see what she came up as a character. I was like, these are great suggestions.
I did that in 2K20 because you had to do male and female, and I said to my wife, who should the female be? She goes, Lady Sting. So I made a female Sting. Surfer Sting. I'll probably do exactly the same for My Rise this year as the women's once I'm done with the men's. But did you know
Did you know Midway executive Roger Sharp claimed that Atom Bomb appears in WrestleMania the arcade game many years later? Developer Sal DeVita confirmed that Atom Bomb was a hidden character, but also was not fully completed.
Did you know Jeff Jarrett was planned to be a part of the roster for In Your House and even filmed for the game? However, when he left WWE in early '96, over a contract dispute, his character was scrapped.
Did you know WrestleMania the arcade game is on eBay from $6.99 cartridge only to $30 complete, with a new sealed copy going for $129. Graded copies also go for over $1,500.
Whew. Did you know WWF In Your House is on eBay from $5.99 for the disc only to $99 complete, with a new sealed copy going for $160.
I only know about the graded copy for WrestleMania the arcade game because that guy reached out to us and asked if we were interested in any. And that was one I was interested in, and it was way out of my price range.
That's so expensive, but
which reminds me that
classic.
he messaged us with way more, and I forgot to answer like 2 weeks ago, so I should answer him. A lot of good options, though. I would love to start that, but way too expensive.
It's if you like, you could get a new jewel case for your WrestleMania and get that one sealed, and see what that one comes back rated.
I'm not gonna get it sealed. That's cheating.
Oh no, not get it. I meant like get a new get a new jewel case and then have it sealed like in the water box.
I probably have a stack of those jewel cases and CDs in my basement somewhere.
Oh yeah, just get a nice rip it from an old PlayStation game. It'll be that way. It's the same PlayStation case.
Oh, speaking of ripping, I saw a post today. I don't know if you've ever seen this thing. It goes on top of an N64. It plugs into it. You put the game in the side, not the middle, and a floppy disk in the other side, and it burns it from the N64. And the store that had it was selling it for $600.
Halfsies?
We don't need that, but it was, oh my God. I don't remember.
That's so awesome.
I should have saved the link. I thought I was going to post it to our Patreon Discord, but I didn't.
Whoa, that sounds awesome.
N64 floppy. Yeah, Google N64 floppy disk burner. It comes up. It's crazy looking. It's like a Sega 32X, but for floppy disk.
Oh, it's not the DD.
No.
I see it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. No, the DD comes up when you search this also, but the first one.
It's called Mr. Backup Z64.
Crazy.
Mr. Backup Z64 is a game backup device designed by Harrison Electronics, able to store N64 games as ROM images on zip disks.
Crazy. This is how we got all of our emulators.
This is how you get emulators. This is how you get ROMs.
Yeah.
Whoa. My mind is blown.
Well, yeah, we digress a little bit, but I thought everybody should know about that because it was pretty freaking cool. Now, back to In Your House. This game does have cheats that are available for auto super pin, disable CPU player movement, unlimited super combos, humans take minor damage, maximum damage, minimum damage, and no damage. Which I love. Why would you play it with no damage?
Oh, in case you just like want to
practice-
learn
practice
moves, yeah,
mode.
just practicing. But we say it here all the time. When a game's got unlockables or a game's got some good old fashioned cheat codes, there's nothing better.
Love a good cheat code.
John, $300, Mr. Backup Z64 on eBay. $300.
It's a pretty good price compared
From
to the one I
Sweden.
saw today. Oh, okay.
Ships from Sweden. So.
But all right, we've talked a lot. It's time to sit back, relax for some R&R. We got a hefty one today. It's time for some ratings and reviews. We'll start with WrestleMania, the arcade game. All game gives the arcade version a 4 out of 5, and the Saturn a 1.5 out of 5 stars. Oh, maybe it was the In Your House one. The Saturn one was better. Computer and video games gives the Saturn one a 3 out of 5. EGM gives the PlayStation version a 9 out of 10. EP Daily with the Saturn version an 8.5 out of 10. Game Pro, there's a lot of them here. Arcade, 19.5 out of 20. These are all out of 20. PlayStation 19.5, Saturn 18, Sega Genesis 16, and a 17 for the 32X, and a 6.5 on the Super Nintendo. IGN gives the PlayStation a 7 out of 10, and a 32X a 5.5 out of 10. Mean Machines Sega gives an 80 out of 100 for the Saturn. Mega Fun gives the PlayStation an 86, same with the Saturn and the Genesis, and an 83 on the SNES. Next Generation gives a 3 out of 5 stars on the arcade and a 4 out of 5 on the PlayStation. Total gives this an 88 out of 100 on Super Nintendo. Video Games DE, I don't know what that is, gives a 75 for the PlayStation version and a 74 for the Genesis and the SNES.
I think it's Germany.
Yeah. Sega Saturn Magazine gives an 86%. Game Pro awarded this the best 32X game of 1995. And now In Your House, not many ratings here, only GameSpot rated this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. A 5.9 on the Saturn, a 4.5 on the PlayStation, and a 5.6 on the DOS, all out of 10. Now, this had a low-profile release. At the time, Acclaim was suffering huge financial loss. They had layoffs, and they were under investigation by Securities and Exchange Commission. They were pinning all of their hopes and dreams on the N64 game Turok Dino Hunter. So,
I do remember that.
Yeah, it was everywhere. But In Your House kind of just got no fanfare, nothing. It just kind of happened. Like we mentioned earlier, just like, oh, wow, cool, a sequel to that game we liked.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I wanted it to be better. I think a lot of people did. And it's not that it's a bad game. Like on its own, In Your House, not without having played WrestleMania, the arcade game, it's a fun game. But you know what I think that we should do first, John? Or do you think we should talk about what time it is?
I believe it's time to rate the game.
Oh, would you look at that?
The game!
Okay. George Feis, will you play it forever or future endeavor? Now, that's for both games, and I'm going to go back to our old ratings right now and let everybody know that we both played it forever, WrestleMania the arcade game.
Woo!
And we both future endeavored In Your House.
You're fired!
And I think I'm sticking with it. And
He's sticking with it.
I think I'm doubling down on that because, like I said, compared separately, not knowing or not advertising or announcing or saying that In Your House is a spiritual successor, a sequel to WrestleMania the arcade game, I think the game is actually pretty fun. But in the context of this is the next game in the series for WrestleMania the arcade game, it's a bit of a letdown. The power-ups, the speed, the pacing of the games, it misses on a few key factors that make it a future endeavor for me. But WrestleMania the arcade game, as hard as it is, holds up and it's great. And now I turn the tables to you, John. How the turntables, John. WrestleMania the arcade game, WWF In Your House. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
So obviously I'm sticking with WrestleMania the arcade game, play it forever. I think I've said it many times here that is my favorite wrestling game, and I'm sticking with that. It's just so much fun. I love the characters. I love all the little silliness involved. And it's just fun to play through the championship modes. And that's something I kind of feel like doing this weekend. So I might do it. So yeah, play forever there. Now, In Your House, I future endeavored.
I feel like a surprise is coming.
George, I think for the first time on this podcast, I'm going to flip.
Ooh.
I don't know if it counts as a flip because it's a new episode.
It's a remastered. I don't know.
I'm going to play it forever.
Wow.
It felt different today. It felt more like
It was 2K23. It hit different.
I wasn't playing it with the goggles, not even nostalgia goggles, like playing it the first, it was the second episode. We wanted to be like all insightful. What it comes down to is it's a game I used to love. It's a game I still have fun with and still love. So I'm gonna turn the tables and play it forever because let's be real, it's still a pretty fun game.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like it's fun, but there's just like a few things that annoy me. Now you got me second guessing. I made a mistake.
You don't have to go by me.
No, but I'm sticking with it. I think that comparing the two, WrestleMania the arcade game is a far superior game. But with that, John, are you ready to head on over to this week's soft lock question?
Soft lock, let's go.
All right, the Soft Lock is a weekly segment where one of our mega marks from our Patreon gives us a topic to discuss. It also could be a question of the week, and this week, the question comes from Justin Summers, and Justin Summers would like to know, what would you consider your worst gaming moment? He says his was getting the red ring of death while playing WWE Legends of WrestleMania the day after his birthday, which also happens to be April Fool's Day. Well, Justin, a very happy belated birthday to you, sir.
About 20 days.
Yeah, John, what's your worst gaming moment?
Oh man, I mean, my red ring was pretty bad also. Worst, I think I've mentioned how Raw 2 just kind of crashed on me and I hadn't saved in like months of my story mode. But
yeah.
Okay, so I love the Gears of War series and I love like the first two. Yep. I guess I could even say 3 games. When Judgment Day came out,
okay,
I hyped it up to my friends. Like most of my friends already played and were getting it, but like my friends that didn't play it, I was like, you got to get it. We're going to play it every night. It's great. And then the bell rang. It was the worst Gears of War that came out. It was terrible. We played it once. They're like, this is the game you told me to get. Like, I never played the others. I figured it's a prequel. They could play through the story and then get the other ones and play with us.
I wanted to throw this. I want to bring this up because remember when I was starting to do my Halo playthrough and I said, how should I play the games? And I said, should I do the prequel first? And you went, absolutely not.
No. Yeah, that was just embarrassing. But also, the same friend, like this week, made me play Crusader Kings, and that was a terrible experience, and I never want to play it again, so I'm going to just not do that.
Oh, was that the game that you were just like, oh, I'm going to try this game? My friend told me I should play it, and you're out already?
Yeah, it was just very confusing and just not good.
All right. Oh, that's unfortunate. I was about to give it a shot. I was about to ask you how it was, and then maybe download it.
I'm just glad it was on Game Pass.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Justin, for that question.
Did you answer? You didn't even answer.
Oh, I didn't even answer. Shit. You're right. I didn't answer. I was just so enthralled with your Gears because, again, that's your wheelhouse. That's not anything I have experience playing. My worst gaming moment. I want to say at one point I had a hard drive fail on a PlayStation.
That sounds terrible.
I want to say...
Oh, I got another one.
I want to say on my first PlayStation 3, because I had sold it to get a PlayStation 4, and then at one point was like, well, I want to play all these old games, so I need to have my 3 back. And I think one of the reasons that I traded in my 3 was because the hard drive failed. I was like, well, I'm not going to start opening this thing up and replacing hard drives. So I guess this is, and I went to GameStop, which is like, hey, the hard drive failed. And they were just like, oh yeah, that's an easy thing for us to swap. We'll still give you they deducted like a little bit of money from it. And I'm like, whatever. Put it towards the PS4.
I think I have something worse.
Uh-oh.
So Pokemon Blue. I beat the Elite Four.
I know what you're going to say. I think you've told this on the podcast before.
I don't think I told this one. I told you about my game crash, and it would just reset every time.
Yes, because you used Game Shark codes?
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I think it was like the battery thing. I beat the Elite Four. It took me forever. Now, to me, as an 11-year-old, I think that's it. Game's over. I press a new game after. I don't continue. So now I started a new game, and now I'm like, wait, if I save this, or if I reset this, I didn't beat the Elite Four. But if I save this, it's a new game. Do I play the Elite Four again, or do I start over? So I think I just ended up starting over and just put the game away. That was it. For years, I didn't play it again. I was a young, dumb kid. What do you want me to do? It's all
Well,
right. I got my
at
redemption
least you
in
had-
Fire Red years later.
At least you had the mindset to be like, oh, I can either do this or that. It wasn't just like you were, you immediately joined up, picked your new Pokemon. I'm like, oh, I guess there's a new, like another save slot.
No, it was dumb. Anyway, yeah, that was mine. Everybody else, let us know what your worst gaming moments are.
And all of the times that I didn't clutch a fight in Warzone or like clutch for the team in Call of Duty, like all those, pretty much any time that it's like a 1v whatever and you don't clutch, it's always a bad game. Yeah. It doesn't matter what game it is. But John, would you like to know what we are playing next week?
Let me know.
Next week, we are going back to a favorite series on this podcast. We are going back.
Kaniku. No.
Well, it's close. Not really close, but it's another favorite. It is WWE SmackDown vs. Raw. And this time we were playing 2008.
Featuring ECW.
Yeah,
I like it.
Bobby Lashley's on the cover.
I like it. Yep.
All about it. Very excited to dive back into SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. And, man, is that it? We're just throwing to the plugs now, right?
That's
There's nothing else left to do. All right.
Good little revisit.
Time for all the plugs, guys. Here we go. YouTube.com/GameMarksPodcast for our weekly playthrough videos and a whole lot more. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of our shirt designs. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for this podcast early and ad-free for just $5 at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And please, please, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell.
The game did it.
There you go. And leave us a 5-star rating and review on both Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you choose to listen to your podcast. And of course, if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. And that's it. Another remastered in the books, Johnny Clash. Whenever you are ready, sir, you may do that thing.
Game over, Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.